So I was born in northern China, and then I spent half of my life in China, half of my childhood in China, so 9 years between my hometown Harbin, close to Vladivostok.
You know, when I was a kid, I heard so many times like the
About
word Harbin, because there were a lot of sailors who go back and forth to Harbin and Vladivostok.
Yep, exactly. So that's where I'm from. The people who go there to sell sneakers and things like that. I have worked 3 times around the world. Singapore to US East Coast to China, back to Singapore to US East Coast, back to China. We did that a few times. And finally, when we had our last baby and around the time of COVID, we said, we actually just need to settle down in one place. And Singapore, I'm with you, is the best system I've seen. And I have seen authoritarianism, benevolent and less benevolent democracy, and a lot of socialist democracies in Europe. So I studied actually politics and economics for a while in university. So I thought a lot about systems, and this just feels good here.
Some people though say Singapore is like more on an authoritarian side.
But I think it's all relative, right? For me, you know, the worst things that I can't do here aren't that bad, whereas in other places that I've been, if I want to visit a certain website or read something or, you know, type a certain word to my friends, I'm being monitored. I don't want to say too much there, because I think you understand,
So now you're happy in Singapore, you're settled.
We're very happy here, I think for many international families, it's a question mark, right? We have elderly, one set is in Asia, the other set is in Europe. Where will the children be? Where will the children, find university, academic and professional opportunities in the future? Where will we feel comfortable? My husband's European, but he also hasn't lived in Europe for a long time. I'm originally Chinese. I haven't lived in China for a while. I'm not sure in 10, 20, 30 years how we feel. But for now and for a while, it has felt like Singapore is the most welcoming place for us.
You lost all your Chinese accent, I think.
I never had a Chinese accent.
But before, when you grew up in China?
No, and this I inherited, I think, from my father. He has quite a musical ear. So before ever leaving China, he was speaking, according to family, friends, and his old colleagues, he was speaking with a BBC accent.
Oh, wow.
And for me, I studied languages. I studied French. I studied a little bit of German. And I'm told that I also don't have an accent in those languages. So it's just something, I think, genetic, that we hear the difference so we can make the sound. For many people, I think, who cannot mimic the sound, it's related to not being able to hear the difference.
Can you mimic a Singaporean accent? Like,
Yala.
English?
Also can.
Also can.
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
It's been a while. I speak professionally and at home, obviously with my husband, we speak English. With my own family, I speak Chinese. I can, write academic papers in French, and when we go to France, I can get around and speak and have conversations. My German is basic level, but I can understand and ask the touristy questions, right? Like how to get from here to there. I would like to order this and that. That's about it for now. I tried learning Portuguese a couple of years ago on Duolingo, but at this age with a job and kids and so many responsibilities, I find my productivity is quite low. But it's fun. If I could retire immediately and not think about anything else, I would attempt to learn maybe 6, 7 languages. That was my goal at some point as a teenager. I thought, that'd be easy, right? I'll just speak 7 languages. But what I didn't know is life gives you responsibilities other than just learning languages.
Yeah, true.
But I very much enjoy it because I think language, mutually, language and thought, they shape each other and they shape culture. So with every language, or even with new words that I learned in a language, it helped me relate to other people better, not just because I could speak to them, but because I could empathize with what they're feeling. I remember in my 20s, I often thought that relationships were difficult because so many of my emotional words at that point, most of my life had been spent in my home environment. So a lot of my emotional words were in Chinese. And if I argued with somebody, I couldn't quite get the concept, and I would try to explain how I felt to them, and there was no adequate English word for it. But now I have the opposite problem because now I've spent more of my life speaking English, so it's hard for me maybe to translate some of those feelings into Chinese.